Shortly before the change of government back in 2013, the Live Music Office was established. There was a reason why we established the Live Music Office. For a long time in the arts, there was a view that popular music didn't really need government support because it is so commercial and has been able to very much look after itself. However, there's been some challenges that have been emerging over the years. The business model that that Australian popular music has largely been built on has been changing fundamentally. The shift from purchasing of albums, I'll admit I still purchase vinyl, but many people don't, but the shift from purchasing of albums to the purchasing of downloads to streaming has meant a significant difference in how bands earn their money. And at the same time, there's been a rapid decline in the number of venues available for them. The bands that many of the members of this place grew up with worked a pub circuit, but in evidence that was given in New South Wales only yesterday, Isabella Manfredi from the Preachers, that's the Preachers spelt the way you spell creatures, not preachers with any other meaning, but the band The Preachers, she listed off a series of venues that were important to her band in Sydney when they were getting started. But having gone through the list of the venues, she went through Drummoyne RSL, Spectrum, Q Bar, Dean's, Candy's Apartment, Bar Me, Flinders Bar, World Bar, the Gaelic, the Hopeton, the Sandringham, the Lizard Lounge, the Standard, the Hi-Fi, the Oxford Art Factory, the Lansdowne and Club 77. Only 2 of them still exist as live music venues. This is a challenge that's happening around the country. There's a series of issues that have caused this, but ultimately our music industry has challenges now that are different to what it used to have. And some of those are caused by government policy. Some of those need to be facilitated and improved through government policy. I want to make sure that Australian music always forms a soundtrack to our lives. I want the next generation to grow up with Australian music. I want all of us to grow old with Australian music. That means we need to make sure that that entire ecosystem around our music industry survives. A whole lot of the forms of revenue that used to be there for bands are not there at the moment. And we can't just say, okay, we need to have the big venues when someone's playing for 10,000. That would be like saying the only athletes we need to look after are the Australian Olympic team. Cultural activity like popular music is the same as any area of excellence. And you need your community level that people come through, where they grow, where they practice, where they play again and again, and 200 gigs later they're playing to very large venues. That is what needs to be possible, and something that the Live Music Office, since it was established, has been making sure there is a body to deliver on that. The guaranteed funding that we had put in place continued for the contracted period that we were there, that we'd left. But after the initial 3-year funding, which was provided until 2016, the Live Music Office subsequently received project funding from the Australia Council, which has now run out, with APRA AMCOS had then delivered further financial support. This office matters. The Live Music Office matters. It doesn't matter if you don't mind what comes on the radio. If you don't mind whether people are hearing all the songs with American accents, if you don't mind whether the places that are being sung about are on the other side of the planet. But if we want Australian stories and Australian imagination and Australian voices to be what we get to hear as a soundtrack to our lives, then backing the Live Music Office is something that needs to happen. The government has still balked at providing continued funding for them, and I would simply urge the government in the strongest terms. This doesn't need to be political. In fact, it would be bizarre for anyone to say only one side of politics supports there being popular music. I see members of Parliament from both sides when Rock the House is on, all going up to enjoy the popular music. Those artists don't come here simply to entertain us. They come to make sure that we hear them about copyright, that we hear them about venues, that we hear them about making sure the entire ecology that makes for a viable, strong, resilient music industry is always there. And the live music office is a critical part of that.